Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. So glad you guys could join us once again. For us tuning in on the simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X. We're glad you all can be with us. Going to bring in our friends also over on Instagram so they can be a part of our chat for today. And last but certainly not least, going to connect with our friends over on Amazon as well. Have a great guest that's joining us today. He and I have known each other forever. And I mean, since his very first book that you guys can see here. I'm talking about the one and only Robert Blake Whitehill. We're excited to welcome Robert back to Amazon Live. If you guys are new to us here on Amazon, make sure you guys do hit that follow button either here in this corner or down below. You also will see all of Robert's books there in the carousel, and they're available in print, also the Kindle, and in some different languages as well. We're going to talk to Robert about that, about what it's been like for him to introduce Ben Blackshaw and all of the adventures he's been through, but also let you guys know what may be coming up as well. Robert, thank you again for stopping by. I really appreciate it.
Cyrus, it's so great to visit with you as ever. Just a pleasure.
Well, I appreciate that. Robert, as I mentioned, you and I have known each other forever. Hey, Allie Dalsimer is joining us over on IG. It's because of you that I know Allie Dalsimer, who will be on the show in about an hour here.
She's an absolute gem. I've known her a long time too. Yeah.
She really is amazing. But Robert, it's been so great. Like I said, literally, I've known you since your very first book.
Yes.
What has it been like for you to be on this journey of not only writing these characters, creating these worlds, but introducing them literally to readers around the world?
It's been a genuine pleasure. When I first started out, I thought that Dead Rise, the first book in the series, I thought it was going to be just a one-off book. And then I discovered that the characters in the book, including the main one, Ben Blackshaw, was very popular and people could relate to him. He was a fisherman who lived on Smith Island, one of the few inhabited islands off in Maryland, but it's right in the Chesapeake Bay. And as a fisherman, folks could relate to him and his hard work day from, can't see to can't see, essentially. And then I kept getting so much feedback and they said, well, what's Ben going to be doing next? And I said, well, I didn't know what Ben was going to be doing next. Let me work on that. And that Dead Rise turned into Nitro Express, which turned into 5 additional titles. So we've got a total of 6 titles out here now. Yeah. And watching the growth has been wonderful. I just received a Google notice that they're selling the English versions of the book in Slovakia, which is kind of cool. But I get notices like that from time to time, like Saudi Arabia and various other places in the Middle East or the Near East. It's been beautiful. Oh, and Lucifer Verlag, one of the best publishers I've ever had the pleasure of working with, they're based in Germany, and they got the book rights to translate it into German. So they've got 4 of the 6 books already translated into German for folks who want that experience. And Kindle, they've made it a multi-category Kindle bestseller, which nothing but admiration for. Yeah. And now we're into audiobooks. So the tentacles, the tendrils are spreading out a little bit. And I just marvel and am so grateful for readers who like Ben Blackshaw and keep me on the straight and narrow, getting the books together and getting them published.
So, Robert, we're talking over a decade then, because I'm looking at my edition of Dead Rise, and it even has Conversations Book Club Top 100 Books of 2012 on the back of mine here. I mean, just going by that, we're talking at least 13 years. I mean, you said something interesting, though, that may surprise people when they look at the catalog that you now have, is that you thought it was only going to be one book. But it's so interesting that we've been able to grow with you and your career, but we also been able to grow with Ben Blackshaw. What has that been like for you to see the way Ben's life has evolved? His work ethic, though, has stayed the same, but his priorities definitely has shifted as his own personal life has changed. What has that been like for you to maneuver from book to book?
To be able as an author to spend so much time with a character, I liken it to an actor who's working in a stage play. They get to work with that character 8 times a week and learn more and more and more about it. the difference being that the circumstances from book to book and the action and the obstacles, they change. For instance, in the first book, Ben Blackshaw is diving the Chesapeake Bay for oysters, as was done and still is by some. And he discovers the very recent wreck of a speedboat mired on the bottom. And aboard that boat, there are 20 metal cases. And 19 of those metal cases, they hold gold bullion, a fortune in gold. But the 20th case has a dirty bomb in it with its timer ticking down to zero, 24 hours off. And at the helm of the boat is the corpse of a man that Ben Blackshaw has not seen for 15 years, his father. And that's how that starts. And so he goes from being a commercial oysterman, going for the oysters, crabs in their season, to having to raise from the bottom all of this gold and the dirty bomb as well. He doesn't want that to go off in the Chesapeake Bay or it'll contaminate his entire fishery.
Yeah.
So he has to get that off the bottom. Then these savage black ops agents come to Smith Island to try to take back the gold. So it's a very interesting development. So Ben has to go from using, let's say, a shotgun for just for hunting to bring down ducks or geese in their season, to put food on the table, to having to use them against other human beings. Now, it's not that he's never done that before because he is a former Navy SEAL, but having to try to do that stateside against other Americans, it's a whole new ball game for him. So he's got to sort of let that barrier down, and his co-worker, Knocker Ellis Hogan, helps him out through the adventures. And eventually, many of the people who live on Smith Island, many of whom have ancestors who were actually pirates in the Chesapeake Bay during our colonial times, they get on board as well and help Blackshaw sort of get through this horrible time with an outcome that is going to surprise anybody who reads into it.
Yeah. And I want to say quickly here, Robert, that the other great thing about these books, even beginning with Dead Rise, is that, yes, Ben Blackshaw is the quote unquote star, but there's a great supporting cast that definitely grows from book to book. And what is so interesting, we see him in different dynamics. I have Geronimo Hotshot up here. I'm going to highlight it for you guys over on the Amazon side. You guys can see it. Books like that, you deal with very relevant topics that are going on in the world that are still timely today. Robert, how do you decide on what themes you want to discuss from book to book?
Well, I kind of look out into the world and into the media and see what's playing. Okay. Certainly the environment of the Chesapeake was a crucial backdrop for Dead Rise. And then you go into Nitro Express, and I discovered that, there are conspiracy theories out there where one will create a mess, like, let's say, a government operative will create a mess in one part of the world to distract people from seeing a mess taking place much closer to home. And there are all kinds of arguments being made that might be happening today, that many things that are cropping up are a distraction from other things. So I found that kind of timely. And you get into Tap Rack Bang. That gets into human trafficking, which is something that's important to me that people become aware of and try to help and stop as much as possible. Because I can't imagine a more horrible thing than being ripped from your home and trafficked either for labor or for sex trafficking or anything like that. So that was important. And Geronimo Hotshot brought in the idea of immigrants and drug dealing on a large scale.
Right. So
there's a lot that goes on, but the decision process is like, what's tweaking me at the moment that I'm about to sit down and start working? Mm-hmm. That's kind of the crucial thing. What's out there that's really big that I haven't already addressed, because I like to keep things fresh.
Right.
And I can build a plot and some action and set up great obstacles for Blackshaw and, let's say, his fiancee Luana, or other people that he might be working with, and or might be connected with, if only for one story.
Right. Well, and I think that's what makes these books so interesting. I want to reset real quick, Robert, let our audience know. I see you guys coming in over there on the Amazon side as well. Welcome. You all are watching Cyrus Webb Presents. Big day for us here at on Amazon. Of course, it is day one of Prime Day for October, and I'm spending it sharing with you guys some great deals, but also being able to share with you guys some great conversations as well. I'm having one right now with my friend, Amazon bestselling author Robert Blake Whitehill. We're talking about his career, his success, the books you guys see here with me here in the studio. I actually have in the carousel on Amazon. So you guys can be able to get those over there. So make sure you guys do take advantage of that. Robert, the other thing, though, that's fascinating, and I think those who are authors or aspiring authors will appreciate this question. I want to talk about how you deal with timing and pressure. Because for one thing, we as readers, as you being an avid reader yourself, you know what it's like to get so lost in a book that when it's done, you want to know what's next, right? I'm sure you get that question all the time. Hey, when's the next Ben Blackshaw book coming out? Or how do you deal with the pacing of knowing when it's time and when it's ready? For yourself, what is your process like?
Well, that's a great question. Basically, there's if I'm looking at pacing inside the book, the action keeps flowing because the books only take place in about 24 to 36 hours within the scope and time frame of the book. So that keeps everything very compressed, and a lot of action has to take place in order to sort of establish the world, set up an obstacle, try to defeat the obstacle, get to that point of no return, and finally you get your denouement. So that's 24 to 36 hours, keeps it interesting for me. And it keeps me from straying too far. Now, as far as process goes, I like to write about 5 pages per day, however long that takes. And I like to stop just before a part that I'm all excited about and can see clearly in my mind. I don't write that. I stop before that so that I can really start with, running flat out the next day. And I'll do that 5 days a week. And I usually start that around January. So come springtime, I've got a rough draft that I can start with the editors and get that going. And then I can probably have a book ready for market, I'm going to say around September, October. So it's about an 8-9 month process. And it's pretty involved. There's a lot to do. There's cover art to get created, quotations from media moguls like yourself to get in the book in the front piece. And it's busy. It's an absolute pleasure. I've skipped a couple years recently because of screenwriting and some obligations that I've had to do there. But I'm always thinking about the next Blackshaw book, to the point that in the first few Blackshaw books, you'll find the first chapter or two of the next book right at the end of the book you got in hand.
Right. Well, Robert, that leads us to the last thing I want to talk to you about. And again, I appreciate you being a part of our Prime Day conversations
My
today.
pleasure.
It's because of you, Robert Blake Whitehill, that I heard about an individual that now people around the world are hearing about. And I feel like you deserve a lot of credit for really sparking this. And that is Robert Smalls. So I want to talk about that as we wrap up, because I think this is a big thing for people. You and I were having a conversation, and one thing I always tell people, Robert, is that I don't mind letting people know areas where I don't have a lot of knowledge or I'm ignorant of, because I look at that as an opportunity to learn. So you and I were having a conversation, and you brought up the name Robert Smalls, and I had to say I don't know who that is, because I'd never heard the name before. What has that been like for you to be a part of the movement of not only making his name more known, but also making sure his story is told, Robert?
It's been tremendously gratifying, and it's quite amazing to see it come alive. For folks who don't know, Robert Smalls was enslaved in Charleston, South Carolina, at the start of the Civil War. It started right in front of him, in fact, in Fort Sumter. He was busy bringing pilots in and out of the harbor, which was very complex and busy, so that he could help bring those ships in through those complicated waters where the captain of the ship might not have familiarity with the water. So that was his job as an enslaved person. And come one night in May of 1862, He looked around and he said, I've tried to earn enough money to buy the freedom for my wife and my children. He said, enough. And he got the families of the enslaved crew of that ship that he was on. It's a 160-foot gunboat, so it was a good few people. He got his own family aboard, and in the middle of the night, he stole out from the wharf straight out to the Union blockade. He stole that ship and himself and everybody else aboard, and that was the beginning of Robert Small's story writ large. He is an amazing human being. He fought in 17 engagements as America's first Black military captain. He ran for Congress after the war and was elected to the United States Congress 5 times. And he even bought the mansion where he used to be enslaved, which is amazing. And then a very amazing thing happened. A woman staggered up to the front door of that mansion where he and his family were now living. And it turned out it was the wife of his former owner. And she was suffering from dementia. And they took her in and they cared for her until her death, which is just an amazing act of compassion. And so Legion M, the company that I've been working with, they hired a wonderful writer, Rob Edwards. And he has created a graphic novel with Stranger Comics. And they created this beautiful graphic novel that you can get today. And it has sold out at least 2 times already. And it is just so gratifying to be part of that process and see people become more and more aware outside of the Southeast about who Robert Smalls was and what a hero he is to combat entrenched, institutionalized enslavement and rise to these great heights of success and prosperity even. So it's one of those stories I felt so strongly that we ought to know. I have an aunt who was down in the Port Royal area at the time that he made his escape. So I feel a kinship and a relatedness to those events that is very strong. And I don't know, I'm quite moved to be participating and to witness the success that Legion M is realizing with the help of great writers and artists, writers like Rob Edwards, artists that are from the camp of Stranger Comics, to create this beautiful graphic novel, which is the start toward a feature film.
Love it. Well, it's a great story, and it's a great example of what's possible too, Robert. So glad we had a chance to have you back on. Again, everyone, Robert Blake Whitehill has been our guest. Make sure you guys get his books in the Ben Blackstraw series here on Amazon. But Robert, we want them to be able to also stay connected with you. How can they be able to do that online?
Well, they could find me on Amazon very easily, and that's even where you could read a few chapters of the books without even having to buy them. You can do the look inside feature near the picture of the cover of the book. And there's robertblakewhitehill.com, and I'm pretty much available on all the socials using Robert Blake Whitehill. So come say hello, leave a note, leave a message, leave a nice review. If you don't like it, come talk to me personally.
Go. Robert, congratulations to you again. So glad to have you back on and looking forward to our next chat together.
My pleasure, Cyrus. Take good care.
Hey, you as well. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. We have more to come, so make sure you guys stay where you are because they're joining us on the Amazon Live platform. For those of you joining us elsewhere, thank you so much for being with us. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.